Hi, everybody. This is Ronelle Delmont, and I'm here after a very long time not making any of these videos about the Lindbergh kidnapping. And I want to introduce my friend Kurt Tolksdorf to everyone. He's been at this for 37 years. Uh, I met Kurt a long time ago at the museum, the archive at Trenton, New Jersey, when Mark Falzini introduced us, and Kurt happened to be there when I took all those photos of the ladder. Mark Falzini took everything out of the showcase for me, and Kurt happened to be there that day. And we both stood there looking at the ladder and the ransom notes. And Kurt has very unusual background about this case because he is the grandson and son of people who actually knew Richard Hauptmann. They all worked together as in the carpentry business. Well, Kurt will explain some of this to you, and he's done so much research in his 37 years, and he also knew Anna Hauptmann. I don't know anybody who did know Anna Hauptmann. I can't think of anybody. Ludovic Kennedy interviewed her, and he's dead. Uh, there's nobody that I know of. And Kurt knew Anna because of his relatives, because he's related to people who were friends of Richard Hauptmann. So he's here to tell you some of his interesting research, and I'm going to let him do something. It's not exactly a PDF, but he's gone to a lot of trouble to make an investigation about the ransom notes, which everybody's interested in, especially the fact that there are strange symbols that make people go crazy trying to figure out what in the world these symbols mean. But Kurt, you want to say hello?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for being willing to join us today and for their interest in the case and probably they will be especially interested in this part of it because it was one of the central pieces of evidence at Hauptmann's trial. That is to say, the handwriting evidence and the ransom notes.
Right.
And I've called this the ransom negotiation because it was exactly that took place over the course of 32 days. So we can go to the first slide, Ronell.
Do you, before we start, do you want to explain something about your father and grandfather first? Just some little, you don't have to go into.
Yeah, actually, my grandfather knew Hauptmann from shortly after the time when he arrived in the United States in November of 1923. Both men stayed at a dye works in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and sheltered themselves there during the winter of 1923. And they both had to tie the legs of their pants so that the rats wouldn't crawl up.
You're kidding.
No, but they became quite good friends, and they agreed that when Hauptmann was able to establish himself, that he would be able to contact my grandfather through a mutual friend. And that's exactly what happened. And in 1928, Hauptmann moved to the Bronx, and he moved to a place that was a short distance away from my grandfather. And my grandfather invited him to join the John Langenbacker Cabinet Works that was on 72nd Street in Manhattan. And Hauptmann worked there for my grandfather and a handful of other German carpenters.
I wish you would just say something about what a good carpenter Richard was. He couldn't have built a ladder as ridiculous as that thing.
He was good enough that when my grandfather decided to build his home on Grace Avenue in the Bronx, he hired Richard Hauptmann to assist him.
Right.
And Richard Hauptmann performed about 100 hours of carpentry work on the house, and was paid $1 an hour for his work. And this was very helpful in getting Hauptmann established in the neighborhood.
Good. Okay. Whatever. You're going to tell us all about it in a book someday, I hope.
That's the idea.
Right. Right. Uh, and Anna knew you because she knew who your family was. I mean,
Yes, when I wrote to her in 1993 through Ludovic Kennedy, she responded right away and invited me to come and visit her in Pennsylvania, where she was living. And I spent the better part of a day with her, and we went to dinner and had a great time going over some of the particulars of the case.
right. Good. Now let's talk about ransom negotiation. This is a very touchy thing because everybody's got their own idea of what the ransom notes meant. So I guess I should go to the next page
Sure.
if I can. Now it's not moving. Oh, there it is. Okay, between Mark. Go ahead, you do it.
Yes, most students of the case know very well that between March 1st, 1932 and April 2nd, excuse me, let me quiet my wife down.
Quiet your wife down. Okay, we'll pause recording. There we go.
And most people know that between March 1st, 1932 and April 2nd of the same year, there were 15 separate letters either mailed or handed over by the kidnapper to various individuals, starting with Lindbergh and Henry Breckenridge, and then moving on for most of them to the famous Dr. Condon. So next slide.
Here's an overview. You do this meticulously.
Yeah, it's so meticulous that you won't be able to read it. But the point is that the 15 ransom notes were all very well documented and preserved, and they're still in the hands of the archive, the State Police Archive in New Jersey, and they are available on the internet for people's inspection.
Right. The nursery note. There we go. What do you want to say?
The nursery note is the most famous one of all. This is the one that was left on the nursery windowsill after the kidnapper exited with the child. And that is not to imply that the kidnapper went out the window, because there is some speculation that the kidnapper deliberately left the note on the windowsill to make it appear that he went out the window, when in fact he had gone down the stairs and out the door with the baby.
This is what it looks like. The people have
That
never
is
seen it.
that is the nursery note. You can't see it very well in this
Right.
in this presentation, but it says, "Dear Sir,"
Yeah.
and
There it says, "Dear sir," here it is. Can you read it?
yeah, sure. "Dear Sir, have $50,000 ready, $25,000 and $20 bills, $25,000 and $10 bills, and $10,000 and $5 bills." And it says, after 2 to 4 days, we will inform you where to deliver the money. We warn you for making any ding public or for notify the police. The child is in GUTE care, Gute. Indication for all letters are signature and 3 holes. Signature is spelled SING, which is a little bit peculiar, since the German word signature mimics the Latin SIGNATUR. So anybody who says that Hauptmann was having difficulties with the word signature because of his German background is, I think, barking up the wrong tree. Now, the letter itself is written in very uneven script, so uneven that it can be considered effectively disguised. The handwriting is not recognizable. It is extremely uneven, and the handwriting experts who inspected it were not able to classify this as any particular form of writing, because the letters are formed in different ways in different words on the page.
So the idea of anybody trying to match a person's handwriting to this thing that looks like a mentally ill person wrote it, it's ridiculous. I mean, why were the police even, I don't get it, because you take one look at this and you don't have to go to college or become a handwriting specialist to know that this is all disguised. A person who, well, maybe a mentally ill person did write it, and this is their real handwriting. But
well, the kidnapper is going out of his way to try to conceal his normal handwriting.
Right, and the I here you got. Go ahead.
It is noticeable, however, that in this first letter, that the I's are undotted and the T's are uncrossed.
Does that follow through? I never bothered to check that, but does that follow through on all 15 notes?
Yes,
okay.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
And this symbol is. Go ahead.
We've had a few laughs over this, haven't we?
Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't mention our friend there, the psychiatrist, with his ideas as well. This is family viewing, this channel. So
right.
The second, okay, go ahead. The second ransom note.
The second ransom note arrived on March 5th at Lindbergh's estate. And it was extremely noteworthy because the kidnapper or the writer abandoned this very uneven writing after the fourth line, and he begins to write in a form which is a whole lot more regular and a whole lot more consistent and recognizable.
Right.
And
like it was too much trouble to write like a mentally ill person.
Exactly.
It was too much. It must have been exhausting to come up with that scribble.
Well, it's almost too perfect, isn't it? That he relapses into a form of handwriting which can actually be recognized
exactly
by a handwriting expert.
Yeah. And then the revert. I think this is one of the few notes that has writing on both sides.
A lot of them have writing on both sides.
But not all the way to the bottom like this one. This is
no.
This is an encyclopedia. So.
This second ransom note raised the ransom up to $70,000 from $50,000.
Right. And the first four lines.
And here is the fatal relapse into a more regular script. After the first four lines, it doesn't show up very well on the screen here, but
yeah, but you can see it even though if you can't read the words, you could see. Oh,
the first four lines are written in the same uneven script as the nursery note, and the second and subsequent lines, the fifth and subsequent lines are written in this much more regular form of handwriting.
Right. Okay, yeah, there it is. That's the regular handwriting. Undotted I's, uncrossed T's, unmistakable. Oh, right. So you're answering my question. It's in all the notes.
Right.
So
now this second note, you really realize that the second note documents the exact moment when the writer got careless and abandoned the uneven writing of the first note and began to use a more regular and recognizable style. You can, it's right in front of you, and that note is connected, by the way, to the first note by the fact that it was torn from the same sheet of paper.
Oh, right, I forgot
So
that.
it's connected to the nursery note by the uneven border of the notes, which can actually be matched up with a little bit of care and shown to be from the same original sheet of paper.
Right. And the paper was ordinary 5 and dime paper, I think. It wasn't,
Yes.
it had no watermark or anything.
And they claimed, and there was an exhibit to this effect. They claimed that they found exactly this type of paper, the same type of paper as as used to write the ransom notes, in Hauptmann's apartment.
Who's they? The Jersey cops? The FBI?
Probably the New York police.
Well, if it's
the New York
plain
Police
paper,
Department.
yeah, but plain 5 and dime paper, okay. Well, maybe today they could with forensics make a match, but back then, I don't know. They claimed a lot of things about Hauptmann. That's why he went to the electric chair.
Of course, it would be breathtakingly easy to insert some paper into Hauptmann's desk that matched that of the ransom notes.
Of course. Okay, so J. Edgar Hoover, go ahead, talk about Albert Osborne. He was deaf. They had to give him a hearing.
Oh, back up one page, Ronell.
Oh, yeah.
So the question is, after the first ransom note, this later writing that is more even. The question is it disguised? That is, are the letters carefully drawn or are they freely written? That's the difference between disguised handwriting and freely written handwriting and original handwriting. Because a disguised writing, the letters will be drawn slowly, and in ordinary writing, the letters are fluently written out and not subject to any delay or a special care on the part of the writer.
Under a jeweler's loupe, because that's what they use to determine this. Under a jeweler's loupe, magnified, I don't know, hundreds of times, they can see where the forger or the writer was slowly adding the pieces to the letters slowly, because they were not, a person who signs something or writes freely, it just flow, like you just said, it flows, and it shows up under a loupe. You can see where somebody was attaching, slowly creating a letter. So
was this writing, the question that came up, was this writing after the first 4 lines of the second note, was this free? Was this more fluent, like writing? Was it disguised or not?
Right. So what was the determination? I know the answer, because the state had 7 handwriting analysts who would not have been hired if they said, "Listen, we're going to be fair, and maybe it's not." They had to agree with the state, so they already knew what they were going to. Okay, go ahead. I'm interrupting you.
So in May of 1932, the FBI had, or the Bureau of Investigation had Albert S. Osborne, who was the dean of American handwriting experts at that time, look over the ransom notes and give his opinion of this writing that was in the second and subsequent notes. And I can't read this, but go to the next page and we'll be able to see it. Want me to
read it? Can you see it? It says
I can read it on this page. Can you?
Yeah.
The letters, Osborne says, the letters beginning with number 2 show but little, if any, disguise, although some of them are written more rapidly and carelessly than others. So this writing that was in the second and subsequent notes was not disguised, according to Osborne. The writer was writing in an ordinary hand, freely, just the way he would if he were writing to his mother. So then we have more ransom notes that went to Breckenridge, and then one to go to Lindbergh. There was
Go ahead. The third.
so go to the next slide, Renelle.
Note 4.
And notice that the letter that was received by Breckenridge, and with instructions to forward it to Lindbergh, it repeats the increased ransom amount of $70,000.
Tell them who Breckenridge is. A lot of people.
Yes, Breckenridge was Lindbergh's lawyer and friend. And he is in on the act from the very first day.
Yep. Looks like it, doesn't it?
So this happens on Tuesday, Tuesday, March 8th, and we note that that's a whole week that's gone past, and the kidnapper has not specified how he intends to collect the ransom.
Amazing.
It's kind of incredible when you think of it. Amazing. So the next thing that happens is a quantum shift in the case, when this retired elementary school principal, Dr. John F. Condon, places a notice in the newspaper, the Bronx Home News, offering to act as go-between to get the baby ransomed and back to his parents. And I think that's a convenient place to take a little break, Renelle.
Okay, we're going to do part 2. Kurt is going to explain Jaffe over here, Dr. John Condon, and this is Al Reich, a former, what was he, heavyweight boxer? Or
yes.
Got heavyweight. Well, he looks heavyweight, doesn't he? And Condon was a very tall man, so look at the size of Reich next to.
Well, he's standing a ways behind him.
Yeah.
That
okay.
exaggerates the.
Yeah, Kurt has